Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. You can watch this program on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This program, Front and Center, can also be heard on the following shortwave frequencies: 12.010 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. Join us for another edition of Front and Center. I'm your host, Jerome Toledo. Recently, the Regional Wage and Productivity Board in the National Capital Region has approved the latest series of minimum wage hike, amounting to 35 Philippine peso, raising the minimum wage to 645 Philippine pesos from 610 pesos. How is the business community reacting to this wage hike? Would there be another wave of wage hike at this time? And how the Labor and Employment Department balances the sentiments of our workers regarding the wage hike? And also, what will be the plans and target programs of the department now that the 2025 National Expenditure Program or the national budget has been approved by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.? Here's the program's interview with the Department of Labor and Employment Secretary Bienvenido Laguasma. Department of Labor and Employment Secretary Bienvenido Laguasma, thank you so much for joining us in the program.
Hello. Good day, Jerome. Good day, and thank you for having me in your program.
All right, and it's our pleasure to have you in the program as well. Okay, let's start with the latest issue right now in the labor sector, particularly the recent wage hike in national capital regions, which is the NCR, Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board, have approved 35 pesos wage increase in the for minimum wage for workers in the private sector. So I would like to ask, for the benefit of our listeners, how did the Department of Labor and Employment come up with the decision to hike wages?
Well, first and foremost, the determination of the minimum wage adjustment is actually being done by our Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board, which is tripartite in composition, meaning there are representatives coming from labor and the employer sector, and then we have from government, the Department of Labor and Employment, DTI or the Department of Trade and Industry, and NEDA. And they go through a process actually in the determination of the adjustment, whether there is a petition or no petition at all asking for adjustment. And they do this by a public consultation, and then followed by a public hearing to be determined, where all interested parties, stakeholders, will be invited to be able to present their position, their justification, or even their written position paper. And after which, the board will do a wage deliberation among the members. And part of their discussion or their deliberation would be the inputs derived from the public consultation, public hearing, as well as the determination on the basis of factors, the 10 criteria laid down by the law creating the Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Boards. So that's actually the process that they undergo in order to arrive at a wage order, irrespective whatever will be the decided amount.
I see. And that's and for the record, Secretary Laguasma, so this is the second time for this year that the Department of Labor and Employment has approved the wage hike, correct?
Actually, in 2022, there is a wage order issued in the amount of 33 pesos. For
Mm.
NCR, I'm referring to NCR. In 2023, there was another wage order in the amount of 40 pesos. And
Mm-hmm.
this month, the wage adjustment is 35 pesos or a total of 108 pesos within a period of 2 years. And
Mm-hmm.
as you can see, the task or the duty, the responsibility of determining adjustments is not a simple job or a simple responsibility. In fact, it is a thankless job for our members of the board.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, that is the mandate, the responsibility actually entrusted by law onto their shoulders. So that's it, Jerome.
All right. I observed that Secretary Laguasma that the wage hike comes in like in a segmented format. I mean, this is not the wage hike is not implemented one time, big time. So it's like done in a separate manner. So why is that?
Yeah, because first and foremost, the responsibility or the mandate of the wage board is to actually look into the minimum wage, and that is actually the entry level wage or the floor wage. No, it's not talking about wages over and above the minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to actually consider several factors to more or less take into consideration
Mm-hmm.
possible adverse effect to the employment level, inflation rate, even our gross domestic product. So
Mm-hmm.
the criteria actually in their determination of whatever adjustment will be decided by the board, they
Mm-hmm.
always consider also the needs of the workers and their family. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, they look at the fair or reasonable return of investment as well as the possibility of inducing countryside development, job generation, and the possibility also of that we being seen as a good haven or destination for employment because policy has to be stable, deliberate, and
Mm-hmm.
they would also provide room for expansion and growth for our existing enterprises. And the other reason, Jerome, is that majority, around more than 95%, of our business enterprises belong to the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And
Mm-hmm.
I really am not sure whether this type of industries or category of our business enterprises can really absorb one-time, big-time adjustment.
I see. And just a follow up. So you mentioned that there's a micro, small, and medium enterprises. So are they sharing? I mean, are they sharing the? Are they contributing to the number of total labor force in the country?
Yes, basically, they constitute a
Mm,
big majority of our total
majority.
workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to really take into serious consideration possible implication of any adjustment vis-a-vis the employment level of our existing enterprises. More in particular, the micro and small enterprises operating in our country.
I see. Okay, so Secretary Laguasma, are we expecting another wage hike in the National Capital Region? So, if so, would it undergo the same process that has been taken in the recent wage hike?
We just had this wage order, which is still to be effective July 17, Jerome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's too early to say another round,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next year or after a timely review 60 days prior to the anniversary
Mm.
of this wage increase.
Mm-hmm.
So we do not discount possibilities, but I think the more important thing to communicate is that other regional tripartite wages and productivity boards are also undergoing the process so that consequently
Mm-hmm.
in when the anniversary date will come with respect to the regional tripartite wages and productivity boards of the remaining 15 regions, we will also see adjustment in
Mm.
the existing minimum wage for the benefit not simply of minimum wage earners, but also those whose wages are so close with the minimum that it will need to have also corresponding adjustment.
I see. And you mentioned that particularly the regional wage board, so they're going to follow suit in on hiking wages. So and they're going to observe the conditions, economic conditions in the area.
Yes, that's true. Part of their consideration or the criteria that
Uh-huh.
they will have to include in the determination would be existing economic conditions of the region where the board is situated. They do not really just
Mm-hmm.
do it out of thin air or no consideration at all
Mm-hmm.
with what are identified as factors under the law.
I see. Okay, so yeah, this is a regional wage hike. So how about nationwide wage hike? So and also there's a legislated wage hike, which is I think it's a 100 peso wage hike. So what's the status of that?
Uh, that's pending before the House of Representatives right now, and the responsibility or the mandate of enacting laws belong to Congress. As of now, the law only provides for adjustment in minimum wage by the regional tripartite wages and productivity boards. It is beyond. It is beyond the authority, the responsibility of the boards to consider
Mm-hmm.
national minimum wage.
I see. Okay, so I would like to get your reaction on this because some businessmen expressing their opposition on the wage hike because even a smaller amount, some businesses are feeling the crunch or the pain, if I may say so, regarding the wage hike. So how do you respond to that?
Oh, I think it's very clear. As far as the labor sector is concerned, they were saying the amount is so small, and to some even considered that it is an insult to the workers. The
Mm.
board never intended to insult anybody, but they have to balance. And then, as you mentioned, some employers are saying they cannot afford. They may even close shop. So, as I mentioned earlier, the task is very, it's a thankless job. You have to do a delicate balancing to
Mhm.
ensure that when you come up with an amount, it will at least not adversely affect level of employment. It will not trigger an increase in the inflation rate. And so,
Mhm.
yes, the job is not something which would be pleasing for both workers and employer sector. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, since the law mandates the regional tripartite wages and productivity boards to perform this task, they have to do it.
Mhm.
So, that's the situation, Jerome.
Okay, okay, okay. Shifting to another topic, Secretary Laguasma. We're done with the wage hike, and there, and you mentioned earlier that there will be, or it's too early to say that there will be another wage hike. So we
Yes,
will watch out for
precisely
that.
because they are just finished with the wage hike.
Mhm.
And under the regulations, you cannot have two at the same time
Yeah.
or even three.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be very clear that within a period of one
All
year,
right.
there should only be one adjustment unless there are really supervening factors that would actually compel or actually would
Mm-hmm.
have the direction for the boards to sit down again and look at it.
Okay. All right, and that's a point taken, Secretary Laguasma. Okay, shifting to another topic. So, In your previous interview for a media outlet last month, you said that around 22,000 Filipinos working in legal Philippine offshore gaming operators in Metro Manila might lose their jobs should the online gaming companies be banned in the country. I would like to ask, is the number of people that will lose jobs accurate?
What do you mean accurate?
The 22,000 Filipinos working in legal.
Well, I said it's more or less. If you have an accurate figure, Jerome, we will welcome it because that's far as our records are concerned, and we look at this as whether it's 20,000 or one job, we always are concerned about loss of job.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, we have to balance it also and consider other factors in the operation of the Pogo. I know there are always two sides of a story or a coin.
Mhm.
Those who favor immediate closure and those who would like actually to see the continuity. The role of the department will always be to look at the situation where we can preserve and enhance employment, but at the same time make sure that compliance with our laws will always be there, recognized, and respected.
Okay, and there will be assistance for them should Pogo operations cease
Yes,
here in the
yes,
Philippines.
Jerome, because we have programs intended to assist displaced workers or those affected by transformation in the world of work. This is something that the department is always keen on providing assistance to our workers.
Okay. Also, on a similar point on Pogo, the department said it will tighten screening of foreigners applying for alien employment permits. So, how the agency will do this?
Well, I hope you are aware that there is a labor market test imposed under the law where if there are qualified Filipinos to do the job, then first and foremost they should be given the preference or the priority. And we do tightening in terms of looking at the documents being submitted when they apply. There is a need for posting or notification, publication in a newspaper of general circulation about the application. And thirdly, we do inspection of the company who have applied or even granted alien employment permit to ensure that those granted are actually complying with the conditions set forth in the grant of the alien employment permit.
Okay, I see. Okay, on another topic, Secretary Laguasma, the Department of Labor and Employment recently engaged with other countries in terms of labor ties. Uh, the Department of Migrant Workers is a primarily a leading agency for this. But can you tell us more about this?
No, I think you should interview the Secretary Hans Kakdak because you talk about overseas employment, bilateral arrangement. It is within their responsibility and within their authority to do that. So I cannot actually more or less discuss that because before it was part of the DOLE, but now there is a separate department. I think there will be more the authority to discuss this further, bilateral arrangement, conditions of our overseas Filipino workers.
Oh, okay, understood. Okay, since global conflicts happening from time to time, and our overseas Filipino workers are affected by this. So, at some point, what does Dole do to assist the Philippine overseas Filipino workers?
First and foremost, the obligation or the duty to assist them would be the Department of Migrant Workers.
Okay.
But the Department of Labor and Employment will be ready to supplement the efforts of the Department of Migrant Workers because when they come back to our country, I think we also have to more or less provide assistance, but always in collaboration with the Department of Migrant
I
Workers.
see. Okay, I see. Okay, before we end the interview, Secretary Laguasma, so I would like to ask two questions. Okay, so for the targets of Department of Labor and Employment for 2025, since the 2025 National Expenditure Program or the national budget has been approved by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. So I would like to know what are the targets of the department for this fiscal year?
Well, we have to await the approval, whatever be the final amount that can be actually provided for the budget in the programs of the Department of Labor and Employment. But basically, we'd like to really focus and improve on our employment rate in partnership with the business organizations. With our target is that our programs helping students, specifically our program on the special program of employment of students, government internship program, Job Start, and our career service development, career support development program will be able to help our students prepare for the future of the world of work. And that is part of our target. We also intend to utilize whatever appropriated amount for the DOLE to spend this prudently, be able to reach those in need, and contribute to the overall objective of the present government under President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Towards the creation or the we have a bagong Pilipinas tungo sa isang matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay para sa lahat ng manggagawang Pilipino at kanilang pamilya.
I see. And
Maraming salamat.
all right, Secretary Laguasma, and that includes National Employment Master Plan, correct?
Yes, that's correct. The challenges, the opportunities, the strategies to be able to realize the targets contained in our National Employment Master Plan will have to be also the part of the main focus of the Department of Labor and Employment in coordination and collaboration with the other departments identified under the Trabaho para sa Bayan Act as composing the Trabaho para sa Bayan Interagency Council. Specifically, the NEDA, who happens to be the chair, DTI, DOLE as co-chairperson, and then we have DOF, Department of Finance, Department of Budget and Management, Department of Interior and Local Government, and TESDA, as well as the representatives coming from the labor organization, employers organization, the informal sector, and the vulnerable and marginalized sector.
Okay. And one last question, Secretary Laguasma. So last month, the country's employment rate was recorded at 96% in April, higher than 95.5% estimated in the same month last year. And also, the number of unemployed Filipinos declined to 2.04 million in April this year, compared to 2.26 million in the same month last year. So, since State of the Nation address President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is coming up this month, so how are we faring now in terms of developing our labor situation? Since the President himself said this during the second State of the Nation address in 2023, that even with our current high level of employment, we must do more and we will generate additional jobs. Your thoughts?
Yes, that will always be the direction of the Department of Labor and Employment as we welcome this development in the improvement of our employment rate, reduction of unemployment rate, and even reduction in the underemployment rate. We continue to do more. That's why we did have the regional and national consultation among stakeholders to be able to come up with the National Employment Master Plan. This is not simply a whole of government approach, Jerome. Whole of society, as I mentioned, even the council, there are representatives coming from the private sector who are very who will be very instrumental in the realization of the targets and the objectives of the Trabaho para sa Bayan Plan.
Okay. All right. Before we go, your message to our listeners who are working abroad or here in the Philippines. Your message to them, since the labor sector is still growing. Go ahead, Secretary Laguasma.
First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. And we also like to state and commit that the Department of Labor and Employment will continue to enhance delivery of services, ensure that our programs and projects will contribute to the objective of the President, that we will be able to create more decent, quality, and sustainable job for our Filipino workforce. And we should always also be able to inspire and encourage investors, whether prospective or existing investors, to be able to increase and add on to the investment in the country that will actually result to creating more jobs for our Filipino workers.
Okay. And with that, thank you so much, Department of Labor and Employment Secretary Benvenido Benny Laguasma. Thank you so much. And that was Department of Labor and Employment Secretary Benvenido Laguasma. And that concludes this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our producer Erwin Peñano and technical personnels Leo Magpayo and Milo Junella. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Join us again here on Front and Center. Mabuhay and love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.